Kiboozi.
Yes, and welcome back to yet another episode of Beizzo's Kiboozi. I want to begin this episode by apologizing. Now, for my 50th episode, which was a milestone episode, I kind of listened to it when I went back online to listen to what was produced, and I found out that part of it was cut. So probably I'll reshare it and then we see how best that people can hear how the 50th episode went. However, let's get into the 51st episode. This is Beizzo's Kiboozi. This is a revolution, and I hope I can still pull it off the right way. And also, the new juice, the new guest of the matter of everything that we're going to do around here, and yeah, for the episodes to come. Now, for this episode, I want to turn to something that is actually something that has been on my heart for quite some time, in the sense that I've done it intentionally sometimes, and sometimes I've done it out of the space of not really doing it intentionally. And it is the idea of imposing an idea on people. You see, people do not resist change. They resist being changed. So you need to see the thing around that. What makes people feel like they are being changed? Because it's going to make them resist change. Actually, yeah, people do not resist change, but they resist being changed, because we all have an ego. And so that's where this episode comes in, that not everyone wants to hear what you have to say. There is a fine line between you imposing an idea and you giving out an idea genuinely. Now, there is a time in my life where I believed that my opinion was the way, and in some way I didn't even notice that I was imposing my ideas on people. I was sort of colonizing their minds, like any rational, or those guys that are more of persuaded to think about colonialism that way, that it was an imposed idea. But I also have the same school of thought. Now, you see, in the name of helping, I would lecture people. I would go in deep, give them advice, what, seeing that they take my idea and my opinion as the way. There's something that I missed, that not everything that you say to someone is something that they should take on, or is something that makes their life better. Because not everyone should listen to you. You don't matter that much in this life. And it's that brutality that I want to bring to all the episodes that I'm going to start producing. You know, we need to get back to the drawing board. We are not that very special. I think I get this from the book that I was reading a couple of months back, and that is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And one of the things was, you're not that very special. I think it's chapter 3. You're not that very special. Because we are all the same in one way or another. The difference is the similarity, that what you don't have, I have. And what I have, you don't have. Yeah. So there was a time that in the name of helping, I could lecture people. I come, not like at campus. There was a friend of mine that was not really good at reading their books and being serious with their books. So I got a chance to talk to them, and all I was doing was, you need to start reading your books. You need to start taking education seriously. You need to take education as if it's the first thing that you have to do in life. That was my position as me, because I had not a lot running in my life. I only had academics running in my life. The one thing I forgot to do was understand this guy and then try to share my idea. And that's the first thing that I want to teach us all, that you need to first seek to understand before you're understood, because it helps a lot in what things you say. Now, when I look back on the things that I told him, I was embarrassed after understanding what he was going through. Now, it happened that this guy was paying for himself the tuition, so he had to work. After working, he would come to school, and after school, he would go back to work, things like that. He really didn't have enough time on himself. And because me, I had enough time, I was in hostel, I was chilling. The only thing that I had to do was really study, actually. So that having a lot of time on me made me think that everyone is like that, which wasn't the case. I had to seek to understand before I was understood. But you see, there's a truth that we all want to be heard. We all want our matters, our ideas to matter. But sometimes in our desperation to be understood, we forget to be understanding. And that's the thing that I was saying, that you need to seek to understand before you're understood. Most times the delivery is wrong. That is where the whole thing is touched, that the delivery is wrong because you've not understood that person's position. And you know, this whole idea of people thinking that their opinion is the way, their opinion is the right thing, they need to be listened to, all that and that and that. It is a syndrome that actually came way back from history. You see, for example, religions were originally built on foundations of love, faith, and enlightenment. But then there came an age where religion was being used as a tool. And that's where cohesion came in. Like, people were just coercing people to believe something. They were just having false doctrines. They want to first push away everything. They say your things are demonic so that you believe in what they have to say. The colonialism time, people come, they just burn your shrines. I'm sorry for my ancestors whose shrines were burnt down. But some of that was imposing an idea, not seeking to understand people's things, the way people have been living. Because I think if they understood the way we were living, they would easily find a way of balancing the religion thing to us. It's the same thing now. I have a problem with Christians that think because they have been born again today, even another person that is out there that has not yet been born again is on their same level of faith and growth. So they come imposing all these things. I'm not saying they're bad, but they come imposing all these doctrines, all these teachings that they have got. I did this at some time also, but they come doing all this to someone whose level of growth may have been like at 10%, and their growth is at 80%. So if someone is at 10% and you're giving them material of 80%, definitely you are off on delivery. They're not going to understand what you're doing, and their faith becomes forced. The person starts to pretend, the person starts to what, but you need to walk this person through the whole journey, and you need to walk through the whole journey by understanding the position that they are in at that time. Now, you can't get me started on politics. Uganda is a multi-party system, and I happen to not be really actively involved in politics, but I'll say that, you see, these young gentlemen, the NUP friends, one of the things that I have seen with them as a character is they think their idea is the only idea. They think the NRM or the DP or generally the whole opposition think that the NRM idea is wrong. I would not really give my stand on this, but that's the purpose of an opposition party or something, to always see faults. But you need to also see the right things and also understand why the faults are there, because that's the only way you change. Because like I said in the beginning, people don't resist change, they resist being changed. One thing that you may be doing is making people feel like they are being changed. I hope you get it. Then now for parenting, I don't know where I should start, but parenting, I'm sorry for my parents, man. There are some things that you guys made us believe, and it was the truth and the truth. But you forgot that when there is no room for questions, there is no space for growth. The best growth is when people choose, not when they are cornered. You see, when you corner someone, you're making them feel like they are being changed. But when someone chooses to change, they won't resist the change. Because you see, one thing that I've come to understand is that even good ideas become weapons when they are poorly delivered. Good ideas become weapons when they are poorly delivered. And it comes in the sense that you could say something good, but it becomes the foundation of someone's misery because they feel like they have not really lived up to your expectations or what. Which brings me to maybe why, because for me to solve a problem, I need to know why people do it. Why do you and I impose on people ideas? Sometimes it comes from a level of insecurity. Many of us could be insecure of our position in life, so we want to have an illusion of power, a desire for control. You're there. You see, when you're talking, you feel like you're in power. Some people, it's past trauma. You are in an area where people are not listening to you, so I may not go so much in that, because the idea of this whole podcast is that I wanted a platform where my voice could be out there. And also, something about you feeling valuable and respected could cause you to impose. So us knowing this problem, we need to know that power is quiet. Power is not something that makes noise. You need to influence without imposition. You need to be there and you're just helping people. You're not forcing them to get your help. So how do you do it right? The first thing is to seek to understand. And you seek to understand by asking questions. You see, you don't need to assume that someone needs your advice. Sometimes you could ask, would you like to hear what worked for me? Then the person says, okay, you can tell me. There, they need your advice. Sometimes people don't need your advice. And this is a bitter truth. Some people just want to tell you what they want to tell you, and you shut your mouth because they don't want you to start gauging how good you are and how bad they are. And after you asking questions, you need to also be okay with rejection. Because when someone says no, the rejection and the ego, the ego is affected. So that rejection bit, you need to be okay with it. And the other easiest way you can do it right is lead by living, not by lecturing. If you want someone to do something, you need to influence the change. You don't need to make people feel like they're being changed. You need to influence the change. And then, when you're lecturing, if the person says, okay, when you're lecturing, you need to give people space. Sometimes when people are quiet, in a conversation. You want to drop in more bombs, more intelligence, more what. But you need to live in that space of silence for reflection so that someone can ask questions based on what you've told them. That's the best way you can know that this person is following what I'm saying. Above all, you need to stay humble because you don't know it all. You need to have humility. Because even the greatest teacher in this world, that was Jesus, Jesus had humility. And he didn't force anyone. He said, those who are weary, you can come. He didn't say, you must come. He said, you can come. I think it's in John somewhere there. You see, the gospel itself is an invitation. It's not an instruction manual that you need to do this, this, and this, this, and this, this, and this, this, and this. So this could also be a guide to some of my friends that are trying to preach the gospel. You need to see the place at which the person you're teaching the gospel to is, so that the soil can become fertile. I don't know if you get it, but this is one of my ideas. That's how I think about it. You need to understand why someone is in the position that they are in before you tell them about the love of Christ, the love of God, things like that, because they easily get into that grace after you've understood their position. You don't just come. But otherwise also, you can just plant the seed and let it grow, because the Bible tells us that you will plant the seed and something like that, and there will be someone that will come and take care of it. So the seed being the word of God, and God will send his spirit to work in people based on the seed that you planted. Anyway, that is it for this episode. I wouldn't want to make it longer than this. I would like to thank you for listening in, and if you have loved this episode, I hope I've not really imposed my idea on you, but if you've loved this episode, please share it with your family, please share it with your friends, please share it with your Christian friends, because this one also applies to them. Please share it with anyone that you think has been imposing ideas on you, be it your boss, be it that weird colleague at work who thinks that they're a boss and they're trying to impose their ideas on you. Yeah, apparently I'm very emotional, so I'll end it at that. Thank you for listening. Keep it at Beizzo's Kiboozi. Until next Monday. Peace.